ready for a play.
You've got your beautiful handkerchief, and I've got the sweat dripping down my face.
You can't see the sweat though.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, you look
that's
great, girl.
Good.
It works.
All right, there you go. So, hi, Kirsten with PlayDHD, and I'm here with Dr. Chuck Parker, who, if some of you have been to my office, you know that the Medication Rules book is prominently displayed right out there because I constantly talk about it. And one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you is because I've been to your presentations.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about a very serious subject, and you do an amazing job about it.
Thank you.
But everybody, even yesterday, was saying, even if they've heard some of this stuff before, they learned something, and part of it, in my opinion, is because of how you present it.
Thank you.
Which is so much fun and playful and energetic. So I wanted to talk to you about play.
Okay. Well, I do have some ideas about it.
You've got ideas about everything.
Because you told me you were going to ask me these questions. But you know, I have this particular way of looking at ADHD, and it's really, I'm into being precise. If we're going to do something, let's really think what we want to accomplish with it. Play has a definite place in ADHD recovery. But the specific place that exists really has to do with the symptom picture that you're really trying to address. Pardon me. So if a person's impulsive, using my formulation of acting without thinking, then they're going to need a play activity that they really should be in that's kind of a more structured activity. Now, let's take, I'm a saltwater fly fishing advocate, okay? So I do a lot of saltwater fly. I fish right up there where you are in Portland. Fish with my daughter out in Casco Bay. And we caught, in fact, I caught the largest striper I've ever caught right there in Casco Bay.
Wow.
But the deal is with saltwater fly fishing, it's different than a heavily organized, structured sport because you put your gear on and you really go anywhere you want to. You stay as long as you want, and you, I say fly fishing is like dancing in the woods. You know, you just do your thing, but there's a certain element of structure, yet it's play, as opposed to not having something to do and thinking about, okay, well, I'm just going to be disinhibited, because a person who is acting without thinking is a little often too playful, counterproductively playful in the first place. So those folks need a little more structure without getting crazy on structure.
Okay.
The other two sub-elements that we talk about in new ADHD medication rules are thinking without acting, and I'm not going to think, I'm not going to act. Those two folks need play in the unstructured sense, because they're already structured in their head trying to figure out what they're going to do. So it's like, okay, let's not think about what we're going to do. Let's relax and synchronize with the environment in some way. Now, again, I'm not going to talk about saltwater fly fishing all day, but that would work for each one of these, because you're out and you're doing something and you're meeting people. If you're fishing with companions. But the real deal, if you get more into specific play activities, playing with kids, playing basketball, playing on a team, what's going to happen there is you're not going to be so inside your head. You're coming out of your head. And one is sort of, I'm already out of my head, I've got to get a little more into what's going on. And the other one's, I'm so far in my head I can't get out.
Right.
And I think those are two important differentiations, but when you do it, it then gives you a direction to go with a little precision of, this is what I want to accomplish.
So one of the things that you just talked about was, you know, trying to get out of your head. And one of Stuart Brown's descriptions of play is not having that self-consciousness. So being able to just let yourself go and be in the moment and want to keep on going without feeling like you're adding these rules or overthinking things, because that's not play. That's what I consider work.
Absolutely. Well, and I think the next issue, just to amplify on that, is the whole idea of being in an environment where you can make mistakes and laugh at yourself. Because what happens so often with ADHD and executive function problems, they're so shame-based, and a person has such self-esteem issues that if I break out of this, I'm surely going to screw up. So then if I get out there and I actually go ahead and take a shot at it, and I screw up, and we all have a few laughs, they're screwing up, I'm screwing up. Not a big deal.
Which is the most freeing thing when you have ADHD. So, which is why this is why I come to these conferences, because I can play by socializing. The first time I ever went to an ACO conference, one of my mortifying moments was when you and Jeff Copper were standing in the hallway, and I was, medication had worn off late at night, we're all kind of a little wacky, and I blurted something out, I couldn't tell you what it was now, and I went, oh my God, great, now I'm going to have to explain myself to Jeff in the morning.
But I want you to know that I remember that from that
I'm
night.
sure you don't, because I got up to my hotel room and I thought, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm probably thinking about it, and they just went on with their conversation and didn't even realize what I said.
That's exactly true, yeah.
Yeah, so just in that moment, feeling like you can say things or do things, you can either learn from them or you can just enjoy them and, regroup and do it a different way.
Yeah, and then what happens is, the other additional thing with play that I think is important is because people are lost in their head, and they're either overreacting to reality or they're in their head trying to decide what they're going to do with reality, is that they then kind of, forgive the expression, but transcend reality. They get above it and they can look down and say, it's really, putting it in perspective just as you did just a moment ago, is not a big deal. And that's what play is. I can be a human being with whatever foibles that I have. It's going to be okay. I don't need to think I'm going to run a board meeting at GE. It's not my ambition to do that. It's my ambition to get along, to live a productive, constructive life, to contribute to the lives of others. And if I transcend it and look at the big picture, play is definitely part of that.
So, you play a lot.
A little bit. I like doing what I'm doing. I have to tell you that.
You do? I mean, that's part of your play, isn't
it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, entertaining people and educating them, and you can see it. I mean,
it's
you don't
so much
present the way
fun.
you do.
It's so much fun. It's a privilege for me to have the chance to work with people, to have the laughs. And what I think of the ADHD community is a very bright, energetic, quick community. They get it. As a group, they get it. And they've been looking for connections, so it's easy to use the metaphoric connections to talk to people and joke. They get it, as opposed to, what? It's like, Now sometimes I personally, unfortunately, regrettably, I'm working on it, get a little too deep, but I can see it. If they don't get it, I'm not saying it right. That's not their fault, that's my fault.
We just did an interview a little while ago with Jeff Copper. We were talking about PTSD and ADHD, and Jeff always says he doesn't know anything, whatever. And but there was a point in the interview when I said, "Whoa, wait a minute." And even the stupid psychologist here, you're way ahead of me. So it's true, but I think part of that too is that playfulness, is that you just get excited sometimes, and you're talking about what you know. You're not making assumptions about what people do or don't know. If we don't know, then we'll ask you. But it's fun to listen to, even if I don't always get it. It's fun to listen to. So learning and educating people can be playful too. That's
absolutely
a form of it.
And I think work can be play. I mean, even if you do something that's more on an emergency level, even if you're working a doggone emergency room, it's life and death. But if you approach it in a certain way and you have some distance from it, and realize how important those human connections are with the people that are walking in there, even in somewhat tragic circumstances. Put your hand on their arm, smile, make it a little bit lighter for them. The whole thing then becomes a lot easier for you.
So you know that I'm presenting today, which will have been many days ago when this goes up, but on building executive skills through play.
Yes, I do know that.
So can you talk just a little bit about what your thoughts are about how play is helpful with some of the different executive skills?
Well, thank you for asking the question, because what happens with executive skill building is practice. First of all, what we were talking about is those people who were not in any kind of a structured environment. When you talk about play, what you're saying is, I'm taking a responsibility in my life to do something different that takes me kind of out of myself and really does connect me, albeit on a humorous level at times, with other human beings. So if I'm going to do that, I have to practice that. I have to learn how to smile, especially if I'm an avoidance subset, or if I'm thinking too much. I have to just smile. It's that easy, and have a correct playful attitude. Now, when you talk about executive function, it's a learned behavior. And the more you practice whatever it is, like this is what I do, the more fun it is. I used to have serious presentation anxiety years ago.
Wow.
I'm telling you.
You've overcome that, Chuck.
Well,
You've done a great job.
I'm going to keep doing it until I get over it. You know, but really, I would think too much. I had a thing of just thinking too much, and what are they thinking, and is it meaningful, whatever. And then I said, okay, I've just got to do this. So I've done really, literally thousands of presentations over the years, but in different circumstances, and different circumstances help that executive function. And this is really what you're telling your audience. I'm sure you're going to be telling them something in this direction, because that is what it's all about. Mastery, self-mastery brings self-esteem. Where does self-mastery come from? Practice. If we're talking about play for executive function, then we're going to practice playing.
Yeah.
You're going to have some fun.
Yeah, to me, it's the easiest way to practice executive skills.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm definitely got to get over there. No
well,
problem.
I'm hoping that you're going to be there. I'm expecting it to be standing room only, somewhat like Kim Kensington's yesterday, where she was turning people away.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
Yeah, Randy and I are going to have some fun. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, so I just want to remind people, it's Dr. Chuck Parker, and where can people find information?
I think if you know, the couple of things, if you're a coach and you want some training, come over to corebrain.org/coaches. And if you want to learn about the depth of what we're talking about, go to corebrain.org/reality. We got some programs. Reality. We're teaching the public about reality. Let's go ahead and deal with reality as it relates to medications.
Yeah.
Because we're not dealing with medications in a realistic way.
Right. No,
we're throwing them at vapors and like, try this, try that. That is the problem with the medications in the land, is we're not even thinking about basic, you know, neuroscientific reality. We're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
So if we look at reality,
the doctors aren't playing enough and looking at different things, right? They're all getting a little too narrow-minded.
Yeah, they're not. Well, actually, a lot of it is because there's no grid there are no rules out there for the grid that should take place regarding interpersonal checking how the medication works, which is why I wrote the book. Because if you do it, like for example, one of the things we do is we talk about DOE, duration of effectiveness.
Yeah.
Well, if that is a structure, the people that I work with play with me on that. So they're like, I know what you're going to ask me, and this is what the burn rate on it is. Okay, you know, we all know what we're talking about. We can have some fun.
You know, obviously, what one of the most like play-based things that I learned in your first presentation that I went to was about transit time.
Oh yeah.
And the corn test.
Number two.
So
have some fun.
If you want to know about the corn test, go ahead.
Just type in corn at corepsych.com.
So a little bit playful. Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
If you've enjoyed the show, please like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YourADHDLife. This is Dr. Kirsten Milliken. Until next time, have fun and find ways to play.